Hi everyone, my name is Jess, and today I will be discussing the Functional Listening Evaluation, or FLE. So, what is the FLE? The FLE is a series of speech recognition tasks originally designed by educational audiologists to determine the effects of noise and distance on speech recognition. The purpose of the FLE is to demonstrate how listening abilities are affected by noise, distance, and visual access in a student's everyday listening environment. The FLE can be used as a validation tool to help audiologists decide if hearing assistive technology, such as frequency modulation or FM systems, are warranted for the student, as it compares performance with and without the addition of hearing assistive technology. The FLE can also be beneficial in justifying other accommodations for the student, such as sign language or oral interpreting, note taking, captioning, optimal seating, and room acoustic modifications. The materials needed to complete the FLE include a CD player, iPad, iPod, or laptop computer to play a classroom noise source, a sound level meter or SLM app to measure classroom noise, a word, phrase, or sentence list for test stimuli, a tape measure, and an acoustic hoop. The FLE is designed to simulate listening ability in situations that cannot be replicated in a sound booth assessment, such as that of a typical classroom. So, some environment and test considerations for the FLE. Examiners should utilize the student's classroom at a time when students are not present, as this may disrupt class instruction and not accurately reflect true daily listening conditions for the student. The test should be conducted using the student's typical hearing mode. So, for example, if the student typically uses hearing aids or a cochlear implant at school, those should also be worn during this assessment. The examiner should present speech materials at a normal speaking rate using auditory or auditory visual cues based on the condition being assessed. And test administration for the FLE takes about 30 minutes total. Classroom noise considerations should include sounds from outside the building, such as cars and lawnmowers, sounds from inside the building, such as students talking in the hallway, or sounds from inside the classroom, such as air conditioning units and other students talking within the classroom itself. The phrase method, which includes having the student repeat each phrase and determining if it is correctly said or incorrectly said, is usually preferred because it yields performance more similar to classroom listening. However, considerations for choosing a level include age, language competency, and memory abilities. So, for example, a young child or a child with low speech intelligibility may benefit more from the incorporation of picture pointing responses. So the test protocol for the FLE includes 8 phrase, sentence, or word lists that should be presented across the following order of conditions. So it starts with auditory visual, close quiet, auditory close quiet, auditory visual close noise, auditory close noise, auditory visual far noise, auditory far noise, auditory far quiet, and ends with auditory visual far quiet. So to discuss this a bit more, an auditory condition is when no visual cues are given. So the examiner would cover their mouth with the acoustic hoop. An auditory visual condition is when visual cues are provided. Noise refers to the recording that was made to mimic classroom noise that's played on the device of the examiner's choosing. And quiet is when no additional noise is added. To further discuss close versus far, so when the condition calls for close, that is when the noise and examiner are 3 feet in front of the student. And far is when the noise remains 3 feet in front of the student and the examiner moves back to a predetermined distance, which is typically between 12 and 15 feet. And this is measured using a tape measure from the student's ear to the examiner's mouth to get this exact distance. And you can see the diagram on the right displaying these close versus far conditions. And these are examples of the stimuli used. So this includes common children's phrases and children's nonsense phrases that can be used when performing the FLE. And these are my references. Thank you so much for listening.